So I came back to just give out a real quick disclaimer here. If you are on medication, don't get off of medication without consulting your primary doctor slash psychiatrist first. It's very important because you could cause yourself more damage. So this story is just about me, my personal opinion, what I went through, and what worked out for me, right?
Hi, everyone. So today I want to talk a little bit about a topic that's maybe a little bit more serious. It deals with medication and the reason that I decided not to take medication for my depression and anxiety. There's three different reasons as to why I decided not to take it. These reasons are outcomes that I didn't want to have. So, to get right into it, the number one reason I decided not to take it was because I knew that if it did work, I was not going to really embark on a journey that was going to teach me anything about the reason why I got here. Because if it worked, I would just feel better. And even though I would seek therapy, which I did and I do go to, there would still be a gap because I wouldn't be able to tell the individual if I was feeling any better or worse because I was taking medication that just made me feel better. So, how would I have ever known? Number two was it would take weeks for me to figure out what medication was going to work for me. And I know that I'm very solution oriented and very driven, and I get very obsessive. And I would have probably go on to a whole research scenario about why this one didn't work and this one did. And the whole thing about that was I was going to lose the reason why I got depression in the first place. Because I believe the reason I got it is because there's something that was misaligned within me. And I needed to learn about that in order to become the person that I am meant to be. And so I knew that if I took the journey of going to the medication route, I would get lost in that scenario and try to figure that out. And number three was those medications have so many side effects. And that's the whole premises of it is when you go to a psychologist, they tell you, we are going to try different kinds, but as soon as you don't feel well, you should let me know so we can switch it. Or if you do feel well, let me know so we can keep it. And the thing is, there's side effects with all these things. I mean, they're doing things in your brain, so it's bound to happen. And I just did not want to deal with that. I did not want to deal with any side effects because I was already dealing with something that was preventing me from being able to do the things that I used to do before. So I wasn't going to embark on this whole journey of trying to figure out what would work for me instead of figuring out why I'm here in the first place and seeing how I could figure out how to make myself feel better. And that is the reason why I said no. But I didn't just stop there, obviously. I was going to attempt to get better, but how was I going to get better, right? Because I don't know. I've never been here before. So I went on to my local library and because I love books and that's just who I am. And I said, you know what? Well, there's got to be some books here on, depression, anxiety. So let's check those out and see what they have to say. So the first thing I did was, like I said, go to my local library and check out some books. I love libraries. I have literally a card from every library place I've ever lived in. Everyone should have a library card. You get so many benefits from having a library card. Anywho, back to the story. So back to the story. So I went to the local library and I checked some books out. And the first book I checked out that I read in its entirety was called The Self-Healing Mind by Gregory Brown. He is, I believe, a psychotherapist. And his book solidified my decision on not taking the medication. He actually said he had depression himself while he was in college. And he overcame it without medication because I believe he didn't have insurance or something was unavailable to him. So he just went the route of he has to get over it by himself. And similar thing happened to him that happened to me. I had to move back home because I couldn't deal with what's going on with me. I mean, if you're here, you probably have had depression and you probably know how it feels. And it's not the most exciting feeling, right? It does feel like you can barely get out of bed. If you do, it feels horrible. And many of us have physical side effects from having depression. Specifically for me, a lot of it was physical. So I had a lot of side effects of, not side effects, but I had, physical effects, which were feeling like my limbs had electrical currents. It was very strange. I also felt fatigue to a degree that I couldn't comprehend. And the fatigue was just not like, oh, I'm tired, I don't want to go to work. No, it was like, I feel like I weigh so much that I couldn't barely walk. It feels like you get your breath taken out of you. That's how it actually feels. And I had nausea. I had lack of appetite. I lost like 15 pounds in like 4 weeks because I just didn't want to eat anything. So a lot of things come with having depression. And so anybody that has it probably feels desperate to find a way to overcome the struggle. Now, because I knew that I didn't want to take medication due to the reasons I've named before, I decided to go on a little research, like I said, and figure out how I was going to do it. So I read the book. And really, it was like these 5 things that I felt for me made the most sense. Now, I am blessed in a sense because 2 of those things I was already doing for like about a decade in my life. So I've been an avid workout person and I've been into nutrition since I was probably in high school. And I've also been in a bunch of different sports. So exercise and nutrition were already part of my lifestyle. Now, I know if it's not part of your lifestyle, this could be a little hard to do, but nonetheless, I think it should be done. So number 1 was exercise. The book mentioned no matter what, you need to get up and you need to exercise. Now, I'm not stating you should exercise at the gym if you've never gone to the gym, or you should go to a CrossFit gym if you've never done that, or you should do anything crazy you've never done before. It literally just said exercise, like go for a walk, or maybe you can do some squats at your house, or maybe you can do some push-ups, but literally just do anything. Just do a thing that gets you moving. And at the time when I was going through this, I wasn't going to the gym. It had been like almost 3 months since I had stopped going to the gym because at that point I literally felt so weak, like I couldn't even get in the car and drive to go to the gym. I literally would get to the corner and drive back because I was scared that my depression, I don't know. I just like couldn't make it to the gym. I thought maybe I'd faint on the way there or something because it does feel that way. So I would turn around and come back for months on end. I didn't go, which was very even debilitating for me because that's something that I love to do. So that part of myself left me for a little bit, which was also costing me a little bit of distress. But I started again. And I started little by little. So what I did was I went on walks with my niece. That's literally what I did. Every day I said, I'm going to go on a walk with my niece, 6 p.m., 7 p.m. My niece is a toddler. She's 2 years old. She likes to go on walks and run a little. So I went on walks. That's all I could do was literally just walk. And as it progressed, over the weeks, I went on little jogs with her, and then I did little jumping jacks, and then, eventually I ended up going back to the gym. But I started with a walk. Exercise. It really helped me because I was able to get back to something that I like to do, but it also just kind of energized me and helped me be in that moment instead of like sitting in my bed thinking about things that had happened. So I recommend you go on a walk. If you don't have any friends, you don't have family, you can go on a walk and just be present with what's going on around you, the trees, the sky, etc. There's just so many things to be present and look around about. And the next thing he mentioned was nutrition. And there's been a lot of studies lately that certain foods can help with depression and anxiety. And one of those things was eating anything that had B12, B3, B6, the good fats from the fish and all of that. And so I went ahead and started to make more salmon. And also another thing that they had mentioned was blueberries. Apparently some antioxidant in them are helpful for you when you have depression. So I went ahead and bought myself a bunch of blueberries, and I every day in the morning made some oatmeal with blueberries and honey and a bunch of other fruits. I added walnuts because it has fats that are also good for you. Flax seeds apparently is also good for you. And so I got all of that in there, and I decided, all right, that is another thing that I'm going to add. And eventually I actually ended up getting some vitamins that have all of those things that are created by a guy who also had depression, who went to a psychologist, and they mentioned that certain foods would help him overcome that. And yeah, I take some vitamins. They're called Heights. I obviously not getting paid for this, as I am brand new. But I do recommend. They're very expensive, but I do recommend. You can look at the back of the label and see what's in them online. They're called Heights, heights.com. You can go and check out what the vitamins have and try to incorporate all of the things that they have through natural means, which is part of what I did. And the next thing that was really helpful for me, the number one thing that was actually really helpful for me, was sleep. I was very far gone at some point. I mean, I had insomnia, so I was not sleeping very much. And for a whole month, I only slept like 2 hours. And I didn't have any appetite, so I lost like 15 pounds in 4 weeks. It was horrible. It was horrible. But the no sleep really gets you. If you are not sleeping, you need to figure out how to get some sleep. I tried medication to go to sleep, and I did not like it because my depression was scary to me. I do not like feeling the feeling of sedation, and that's how depression feels like to me. So getting medication that was going to put me to sleep literally gave me anxiety, which is another thing that I'm struggling with. So I tried it once, and I was like, this is not for me. So we're going to have to figure it out and do it another way. So I spent money that I didn't have because I only had one job for 10 hours. But I spent money on an app and called Better Sleep. Also, I'm not getting paid for this. And you can look up all sorts of different apps are out there. And maybe you don't even need to, but there is this meditation on that app that helped me finally get some rest. It has some weird brown noise, gray noise, green noise, or some kind of noise in the background. And I got a meditation, and it finally put me to sleep. Now, the biggest thing about not sleeping is if you have anxiety, is usually because you're worried about all sorts of things, and it's just replaying in your head, and you're ruminating, and it's not going to let you go to sleep. So I did figure that one out, and what I incorporated into it was just journaling all of my thoughts before I went to sleep and letting them just stay on the page. Then I went ahead and did my meditation. I created a little sleep schedule. I put myself in the bed at 9. I did the meditation, and I wrote down my things on the journal, and I was like, I'm going to bed. And it was a struggle. I got like, from 2 hours, I got 4 hours, and from 4 hours, I went to 6 hours. And then, here and there, I still wake up in the middle of the night, but it's not that bad. And the last 2 things are, number 4, having just anyone. It could be a friend, it could be your brother, it could be your sister, your mom, your dad. It could just be any connection. It doesn't necessarily have to be even people you know. I felt like part of my healing journey process was literally to go to Reddit and find other people that had a similar experience. Now, do not go to Reddit, to the depression section of Reddit. It's not a good place. It's not, because they do not bring any positivity. It's like they're lost in the negativity, and like, you don't want to go there. You don't want to go there because it's all negative, and we don't want negative. We want positive. So don't go to that section of Reddit. But what I would suggest is go to a section of Reddit that makes you feel connected. So it could be maybe a section of Reddit where, like, you used to like to draw, but you haven't because you have depression, but let's see what's in there, Or it could be like, for me, it was really about my relationship. So I went to a certain part of Reddit that had to do with certain abusive relationship stories. And I kind of built a community there in a sense where, like, I could read other people that were going through it. I could also see people who got out of it, people that would give you, suggestions on what to do to make yourself be a better person. People who were like, you know what, you don't need that. Like, the reason it's happening, it's just advice, and it makes you feel like you're not the only one going through this, and the reason why I said don't go to the depression section of Reddit is because I went and it feels like they want to get stuck there, and you don't want to get stuck there. We don't want to get stuck there. We want to become what we're meant to be. And that is why we had depression, because we were in misalignment with something that we needed to become. We can't get to that part of us if we don't first figure out why it happened to us. What was misaligned, and why did I have depression? What was causing that complete misalignment within me? So I recommend some type of connection, friends, family, people online, in a positive direction, which leads me to the last one, which is positivity and gratefulness. Another thing I did is I bought some gratefulness journals, even though back in the day, I would be like, these journals are so boring, and like they say the same thing over and over and over again, and they really do on every page. But I found one that didn't do that in every page. Which was great. And I will probably put it here somewhere so you can show you which one I got on Amazon. And I liked it because it didn't have the same thing on every page. It was kind of a little different. And I also just kind of filled it out whenever I needed to fill it out. Some of the things that I suggest here is don't try to just do all of this at once and say, like, I'm going to do the exercise and the nutrition and I'm going to start this, because the thing is, many of us will go the all out route and something will fail, and then we'll start feeling bad about it and other things. So the best way to go about it is just to try one thing at a time. So I personally suggest exercise. I personally suggest that you go on a walk. You start looking at nature. You can also, while you're walking, if you don't have a friend to talk to or walk with or family member, you can think for yourself, and try to dig deeper as to like why these things happen to you. And as to my last point, which is number 5, think in positive ways. Most importantly, being grateful for what you do have. Now, I go to therapy and my therapist is always like, it's not about positivity. And to a degree, I agree. Everything is not about positivity because everybody's talking about positivity. But sometimes you ain't positive, Like I wasn't positive for the longest ever. And when you're telling me to be, I'm not going to be like, okay, I'm going to change my mind and do it. You're not. So it's not necessarily about being positive, and not everything should be. But the thing is, when you have depression, it's easy to go negative. And that's where we don't want to be. We don't want to be in the negative. We already know how to be in the negative. We are the negative. We're like experts at negative right now. We need to try to be positive. So even if my therapist tells me it's not about positivity, the truth is when I get a depressive episode, I go back and think about, why did I start feeling depressed? And the thing about my depression, which I don't know if everybody feels it this way, but it feels physical to me. Like I immediately feel like I have low blood sugar, which I don't, but that's how it feels. And the other thing that happens to me is my eyes literally feel hot. It's weird, but I get this, like my eyeballs are on fire kind of feeling, and I have no energy. And that's how I know I am having one of those depressive moods or episodes. And every time I have one of those, I go back and think about why I got it. And what was I doing? I was thinking negative. I was thinking negative thoughts. I was thinking about negative things. I was thinking about the past. What happened to me? Why did it happen to me? Why did that person do that to me? Why did that person do that to me? Why is my life like this? Or I was thinking about, negative things about myself. Like, if only I could, and why can I have, and I wish, and blah, 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 blah. Okay? And we don't want to go there. So, as much as some of these things hurt, yes, we have to go through the process of figuring out why this and why that, but we don't want to stay in that sort of rumination process, which doesn't build any true, like, reason for what happened. You're just like stuck in this like negativity, and we don't want that. So when you start thinking about positive things, positive thoughts, and you know what is funny about that? You might feel like it's a little weird and a little like, what the hell am I even saying? Like, I believe in myself, or I don't know, all these affirmation things. Sometimes they've always felt fake to me, but the reason they feel fake is because I don't believe in it. And why don't I believe in it? Is because I hadn't dealt with shame, which is a whole nother story that I will talk about later. But back to these things. The last thing I just want to make sure that you guys take from this is that no matter where you are today, things can always change for the better. And it starts here. It starts here. So I hope that you guys take anything I said into consideration and maybe just do one of them. I promise you, it has made my life 100% better. Literally in weeks. It didn't take me months. It took me weeks to go from 0 to 90. I'm not 100%, but I'm 90%. And that feels so much better than where I was before. By just doing these things, these 5 things that I said, the exercise, the nutrition, the sleeping well, the, having connection with friends, the building the positivity and gratefulness into your routine somewhere, any of those, I promise you, it would make a world of difference. So I hope this helps somebody, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.